Welcome back to Triple Alpha Sports Talk. I'm Josh. That's Bryce. Roy's over there in the corner. Not together for this episode. It's All-Star break, so it's been pretty quiet the last few days. Home Run Derby and All-Star game. American League wins 10th year out of 11. And Home Run Derby, Teoscar Hernandez wins, where I almost won money because I bet on Bobby Witt Jr. Sad. First, we'll go over our draft standings. And yeah, it's a big one. It's the first time I'm going to say this. We have a shift in the order. I'm still up top at first with 315. Second place is now Roy.
Damn straight.
Roy
Come for
is
you.
20 games back of me, but he's made ground because he was 30 at one point.
I think I was as high as 35 at one point.
At 295. And Bryce is 4 games back in last place at 291. Bryce's big killer's been the Yankees and Orioles on their losing streaks the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what's killed him. So, but yeah, Roy takes in a second, and Bryce is in the last. And then, since it's the All-Star break, we thought this would be a good time to go over a draft grade for each team. Just a real quick recap. Just thoughts of their first half, thoughts of maybe what they can do in the second half. Well, I guess let's start it in the best division in baseball, the AL East. Roy, I'll let you go. Baltimore Orioles, what do you give them?
Well, actually, I'm going to give them a B. I mean, they started out hot. Just like the next team we'll talk about, 3-7 in the last 10. They've kind of struggled. I think they lost 5 in a row at one point here before the All-Star break. So, too much young talent they should be 65 wins right now. I mean, I know it's a struggle and they're probably going to be in the playoffs, but I'm going to give them a B.
Yeah. Bryce, how about you?
I'm going to give them a little higher grade than Roy. I'll probably give them an A- because to me, this team's in the hardest division in baseball, and they're also probably one of the younger teams in the whole MLB, and they're still leading their division after being behind the Yankees for so long. I know they haven't capitalized a ton on the Yankees kind of falling off recently, but to me, they're a young team that's playing great, and they're going to make the playoffs. And for the Orioles, they've been historically bad since I've been alive. So
yeah.
Well, they were decent back in the days with Chris Davis and then for a while. So
Adam Jones.
Really
I'm gonna go right in the middle, you guys. I think a B+. Their starting pitching rotation has just been depleted with injuries for the year, but they have so much potential to add at the deadline with all those young players. Not saying they're going to sell all of them, obviously, but again, they haven't played great either. Along with the Yankees, you can look at it both ways: not capitalizing for the Yankees, but also not capitalizing for Baltimore.
yeah.
I picked them to win the division. I still think they're going to. I think they can add so much. I mean, they have to add to that rotation, so I think they're going to add. I think they are going to win the division. So let's go to the second team, the Yankees. I'll rock first on this one. I'll give them a B. They got into a blazing start, but man, they've really hit a wall, and they're going to bounce out of the wall. I'm not worried about that. I am worried. I don't think they're going to add as much as most people think. I think they're going to hit 1 or 2 good trades. That's about it. But it's the same thing. I mean, it gets cold. They're not going to hit other than Judge and Soto. That lineup's weak outside of 2 players, and that's all I got really.
Roy, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm actually going to give them a C. I mean, other than a hot start by Soto, a great month by Judge, what have they done? I mean, didn't he went to June when they won 5 games? The pitching rotation was decent at the beginning. It was good at the beginning. I never was a fan of what some of the moves they've done. Volpe was, he's hit or miss, and Verdugo's hit or miss, but Stan's hit or miss. Other than that, I mean, Torres has been terrible. Rizzo was hot for about 2 weeks, got hurt. I mean, it's just not. This team is not made to win. I mean, but they've won. Yeah, they were hot. It's because Soto played out of his mind in April. Judge played out of his mind in May. It's just been. I mean, that's all it is. So I just been disappointed. Their bullpen's been depleted with injuries, but they go out and they don't have anybody who can strike somebody out in the bullpen. Yeah. That's what pisses me off. It's contact. That's not what you have in the bullpen. You get somebody who, when you have 2 runners on, you need strikeouts. You don't need contact hitting. And it's just errors, just lazy play. It's just this team is not. Boone is not a coach. I don't want to get into this, but it's just pissing me off. I mean, this is a franchise that should not be they're 58 and 40. They blew seven saves this year, or Helms has.
Yeah.
Several times when they had 2 or 3 more run leads, and he blew them. So I'm going to give him a C.
I'm going to have to give him a B- because, I mean, obviously you can talk about them being horrible for the past month, Judge having a terrible first part of the year, Soto kind of hit or miss lately, the bullpen. I think that they have some injuries in their starting rotation, and Garrett Cole should be back. So, I mean, that's an issue with starting, but to have all those issues pile on top and then still be winning your division most of the year and only 1 game back now at the All-Star break, you can't get. I don't think you can give them lower than a B- at worst, because they're still in it. And if they add 1 or 2 pieces, maybe, I think they're very World Series contenders at that point. So
the problem is they're not going to add anything big. They're just going to add some bullpen arms. That's about it.
All right, that'll move us on to Boston Red Sox in third, 53 and 42. Roy, I'll let you go first on Boston.
I'm actually going to give them an A-. They have surprised me. I thought their pitching staff has been really good, and Devers has been awesome. They've had some. They've done things with internally and made some trades to make them a better team, and they're a better all-around team than I figured. I thought they might struggle this year, especially their pitching staff, but it's been a much better team than I anticipated.
Bryce?
I completely agree with Roy. They weren't the team, or they're a better team than I thought they were going to be by far, and they're in the hardest division in baseball, and they're still above 500 by quite a few games, 9 games. And
9 games.
They've really taken advantage of the Yankees and the Orioles having a bad few stretches and series here and there. They're coming up on the Yankees and Orioles, so that's a team to watch out for to make a wild card run, even maybe win the division if they continue to have the struggles at the top.
I agree.
Yeah, I also agree. I am going to give them an A- as well. I'd give them an A. What they've done offensively, they have a lot of speedsters, a lot of contact hitters. They get on base. They play like baseball the old way, which is sustainable. But then you have Devers in the middle who hits home runs and drives them in. They're missing Tristan Casas for most of the year at first baseman. He's another good lefty bat. But I do see some regression. They've pitched out of their minds, and that rotation just isn't as good as what they've been this year. Is it sustainable? Maybe. Maybe they all just have career years. I just think there's going to be a little bit of regression. I think they will finish third. Maybe fourth. I'd be shocked if they fall that many games. But I do think a little bit of regression will hit their pitching staff. But, yeah, they've been great so far for what we expected. Then Tampa, 48 and 48. I'll go first on this one. I give them a C+. I thought this team was going to be kind of bad with all of their rotation out, 100% all of it. It was completely a gap year because they need all those pitchers to come back. They lose Franco because he's a bad guy. But they're still 500. And to me, if you look at that roster, it's not a team that should be 500 in this division. So I'll give them a C+, but next year, this team will be right back in it. So,
yeah, I mean, Josh kind of covered what I was going to say. There's not a lot. Like, you can be joyful for the future for this team, but as of this year, to me, they've got to add some few pieces and work for next year. This division is just too strong to me for them to really make a push, in my opinion. So C+, B-, right around that area.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a C, C+, somewhere between C and C+. They've overperformed what I thought they were going to be a bad team. But the problem is you're going to see them digress because they're not going to make a move at the deadline. They're going to be sellers and try to build that team up for next year. Is what they're going to do. So and get some prospects because that's what Tampa does. They have an average year. That's what they do. If they have a good year, they might have gone and got some. But I mean, they're 10 games out of first place. It's just going to be tough for them to do anything. But they've actually done better. They just can't score runs either. That's been a big problem. But I think this team's I think they're going to be good in the future. But I give them a C.
That'll take us to the Blue Jays. I'll let Bryce go first on this one.
Man, I'm going to have to go with probably like a D or D+. This team has just been a complete shit show to me. They're 14 games back, way under 500, and like they're not competitive at all. They have several players, in my opinion, that are much better than what they've played all year round, including Vladdy. Bo Bichette hasn't been like good at all this year from what I've seen, and this team, to me, what I'm reading is they're not going to sell, but this is a perfect sell team. And it's just they're going to continue to be bad. And you can't – I understand why they're not going to sell because they're in Toronto, and you got to get people to games in Toronto, but this team's been bad.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give them a D+. I mean, they've had a good mix of old and young, but it hasn't mixed well this year. The old players have really had bad years. Gosman, Springer, and Kiermaier, all who had good years last year, have been pretty horrific. Bo Bichette, like Bryce said, no production. Vladdy's had a rebound year, probably the second best year of his career. And that's probably why they won't deal him, which I understand. You don't have to sell everybody, especially Vladdy's so young. But yeah, I just think this team tried to go get Soto, couldn't get him. Tried to go get Shohei, couldn't get him. Not saying it's all the players' fault, but because they didn't add a lot, it's really the same team. But yeah, it's a disappointing year in the best division. And Toronto made the playoffs last year and then be 8 games under 500. It's disappointing. And I agree with Bryce. I do think they should sell some pieces. If not, I'm not saying they need to move all of them, but I think some pieces should be moved, and it doesn't sound like they will.
Yeah, I agree. I'm giving them D+ just because the expectations were high. I mean, this team was supposed to be. I really thought they were going to be better than what they are. But again, they're 8 games behind, under 500 in a tough division, 14 games back. It's not like they're out of it. So if they did do something, somehow turn around, they could make a run. It's not like I don't see them doing that. I agree. I think they should make some trades, just not sell everybody, but maybe get rid of maybe a starting pitcher here and there to help bring in some players from the future, because this team has been ready to win. They just haven't done it, and they've been trying to get players to build around it. It's not worked out somehow. Maybe because people just don't play in Canada. I don't know. But they've got the pieces. Some of them aren't performing this year, but if they could get some more, this team could be a good team. We've seen it. They just this year's not been the way.
That'll take us to the AL Central. And at the top of the board, probably one of the more surprising teams in baseball, the Cleveland Guardians. I'll go first on this one. I thought Cleveland would be around league average. I had them at a 500 team. They've surpassed that with miles and miles, and that is without Shane Bieber, their ace. I don't know how they get it done pitching-wise other than the back end. They have always had a good bullpen. Their starters have been unbelievable. And, man, Jose Ramirez and that infield have just been unbelievable, and they just win games. It's not pretty. They don't even have a crazy high run differential, but they just win games. It's a good team to be. I think they do play in the weak division, so I will point that out. But I've been impressed with Cleveland. I'm gonna give them an A- because I still don't think they're on the level of some of the bigger teams, even though their record shows it. But they could still beat anybody in any given series. So I'll give them an A-.
I'm gonna give them an A just because I think most people thought that they were gonna be kind of a middle of the pack team, and they've completely surpassed that. I mean, they're at the top. They have the best division in baseball. They're right around best record in baseball. They go back and forth with the Phillies, the Orioles. I mean, all those 3 teams are all trading the top record in baseball every week, it seems like, and nobody predicted them to be like that. Jose Ramirez has just been a great player, and Josh said it, they don't have Bieber, and they're still winning games without their ace.
I agree. I'm gonna give them an A. I've actually surprised how good they've been. I had them again with you guys. I had them middle of the pack. I had them, I think, second in the division, maybe. I remember third. I don't remember. Yeah, third, I think, because I think I had Detroit higher than that. But I agree. I disagree. I think they are capable of winning a World Series. I think if they added a piece here and there, this team is just. I mean, they just got. I mean, other than Ramirez and maybe Naylor, they don't really have a bunch of Quan in them. They're just names that perform. That's all they do. And they got a pitching staff that continues to be good. I mean, every year they always pump out pitching. They trade them away, and then somehow they pump them out. So this team, I think if they add one piece or two, I think this team's a dangerous team in the playoffs. And if in a 7-game series, you're looking at a tough matchup for anybody.
Yeah. I'll take it as a 2 seed for the AL Central, the Minnesota Twins. Another team that I'm going to be honest, I had at the bottom or close to the bottom in my projections. I mean, they lose Sonny Gray last year. They lose Kenta Maeda to the Tigers. And they're the streakiest team in baseball I think I've ever seen in the last few years. But, I mean, at the end of the day, they're 12 games over 500. And, again, I think a lot of that has to do with the division. But the division isn't that horrible. I mean, they have 3 teams above 500. So it's not like they're playing that bad, but they play each other a lot. I've been surprised by them, and they swing it well. And their pitching hasn't been bad, which that's what I thought would be bad. And so the fact that their pitching has been okay, that's what's led them to a good record. So for the Twins, I give them a B+ because I really didn't have them very high.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B. I think that the record that they have is obviously largely to do with that. This is one of the worst divisions in baseball, or close to it, but I don't think that they have the greatest team in the world, but they somehow win games. Or one of those teams that it's kind of scary to play them in a series because if you get in a close game, they have players who can go out and win the series for them. And those are the type of teams I don't want to see in the playoffs if I'm playing against them. So that's a team that can get hot and make a run. They kind of remind me of the Phillies from the past few years.
I am going to give Minnesota a C+ probably. I had them win in the division. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can give them a B. They are exactly where I thought they'd be. I just assumed they'd be at the top of the division. I had them winning it. They're the team that could win the division and then lose in the first round of the playoffs. They're just not. For some reason, Minnesota does not do well in the playoffs, and I just think they're going to do what their regular season team reminds me of Oakland for all those years. Just really good during regular season, but just can't perform in the playoffs. So I think you're just going to continue to see this.
And then the middle of the pack, the Kansas City Royals. Roy, what do you got for them?
I had Kansas City being last in this division, so I am going to, or second to last in this division. I am going to give them a B. I think they've been really well. They started really well. I thought they were one of the better teams in baseball for a good month or two. They've kind of struggled here recently. They can score. I'll give them that. They can score some runs for a team, but they struggle in pitching here and there. But they've actually done really well. I think their pitching staff's pretty good. They just the problem is they came in. They've been. I think the last month I think I read they were 500 last month, or maybe a game below 500 last month and a half or something like that. So I mean, but it's June, and that's June, July. So this is where I always say it's a struggle of the month, struggle of the seasons for everybody. It's dog's day summer. So they're just in that little funk, but they're a team that could get in the playoffs and make some noise. Maybe not be at the top with the rest of I think if you got the Orioles and the Yankees playing their best baseball, this team struggles. But if they're not, then the Royals is that type of team that can upset you.
Yeah.
How about you, Bryce?
Yeah, I'm going to give them a B because I think that I didn't think that they were going to be as good. I know Josh was high on them at the beginning of the season because he rides Bobby Witt like a cowboy. So to me, it's just they've outperformed what I've thought that they did. And the one thing that Roy didn't say about this team is I think Salvador Perez has had a great bounce back year from a few bad years after their championship a few years ago. That guy seems to be playing like he was back when they were winning World Series at this point. And a few years ago, even last year almost, I thought that there's no way he continues to play. He should retire. And he's kind of proved me wrong and made me eat my words on that because he's played really good baseball this year.
Yeah, I mean, my ranking, I'm going to give him a B. I was high on them. I knew their additions were good. They've had a good young core of hitters that they've brought up. It's the pitching that they went out and bought. They went and got Waka. They went and got Lugo. And Lugo was an all-star. He's been pretty good, but the last month their pitchers have regressed, and that's why they've lost their games. One thing that Kansas City does have going for them is last year they had Witt have their breakout year. They've had Cole Reagans have a breakout year at the end of the year. Both of them have continued that and have pretty much solidified as being, good players. Both were all-stars, which is good. It wasn't just like a fluke. And I will give Kansas City this. They're the only team that's made a trade, like a real trade this year for the future, and that's getting one of those national relievers to add to the bullpen. So they're going for it. They might not make the big splashy moves, but they're going to make some moves. So they're going for it. And they're young, and young teams are fast and have nothing to lose, and it's another team in the playoffs I wouldn't want to see when you have Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo, 2 all-stars at the top of the rotation. Now, are they the best team? No, but I was high on them, so I'll give them a B or a B+, whatever I said. And then the Detroit Tigers in 4th, and to me, I know Bryce did as well. I had this team winning the division. I liked their additions. Their additions have not worked out, other than Jack Flaherty. He has been outstanding for them. But it looks like he's going to get dealt. It looks like they're going to deal some of those players they added. Their offense has been non-existent.
Yeah.
You were hoping eventually Javi Baez, learns how to hit. I mean, it's done.
not.
I mean, at this point, they might as well just cut ties because it's other than defense, there's nothing productive. But yeah, I mean, you look at Spencer Torkelson, their first baseman, who had a good end of the year last year. I mean, sent down a AAA bat in 130. Just the next steps didn't come, and then the additions have been non-existent. And they have a Cy Young favorite in Tariq Skubal, so the pitching's been good, but man, they can't score a run. That's why they're about 500, but in this division, that's not good enough. So I'm going to give Detroit a D because that's pretty disappointing in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm also going to give them a D. I know that one of the things that me and Josh talked about at the beginning of the year whenever we thought they would be at the top of this division is that they had a good mix of young and old players. And even though players like Javi Baez aren't good anymore, we kind of thought that those type of guys being on the field with some young players would help them. And it's just not been the case. They haven't had anybody really shine this year offensively. It's really just been the pitching that's shining, and you have to have both. And in a division like this, you have to capitalize, and they haven't. It's as simple as it is. They haven't been very good this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna give Detroit a D minus probably. Let's give them D minus. Other than their I think they won 8 of their last 10. I think they won 12 or last 16. If they hadn't done that right before the All-Star break, this record would have been horrible. I mean, because they are like you said, their signings have been not good. Their young players have not taken a step. I had them being second in the division, and they haven't been nowhere near the team that I thought they'd be. So yeah, like you said, they got pitching, just can't hit the damn ball. Yeah. So this team is not very good, and I see, like you said, they're going to sell some of these players to try to build for the future because that's about all they got left.
Yeah, and then the White Sox. I almost feel like it's unfair to say the White Sox had an F because, they traded away Dylan Cease, pretty much expected to be this bad. They're terrible. They're tanking for the number 1 pick. It's pretty obvious. I'll give them an F because they have 27 wins and 70 losses, but I predicted this to be the worst team in baseball, and it looks like it's going to happen. So,
yeah, they can't get the number 1 pick, though, is the thing. They are a big market team, so they literally can't get that low of a pick.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where you read that.
I think they're just that bad. This is literally the worst baseball team of all time, and nobody on the team cares. So that's obviously an F to me.
No, I'm giving an F for that reason. The effort, the lack of being engaged in the game, and just giving up on the season that you see several games in and out from other than the players who are trying to play to get traded. It's a joke of a team. So, and I want to go see Yankees, White Sox in August, and I don't even know if I really want to drive up there to go see it. So it's not bad.
That'll take us to the AL West, the Seattle Mariners. I'm going to give them a B minus. I think it's kind of been disappointing. They have one of the best rotations in baseball, but they got nothing at the plate. Julio Rodriguez had a bad year, and they should have ran away with this division early, and they didn't. And I think it's going to cost them for it. So I'm going to give them a B minus, but they are still above 500. So not going to give them a C.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a B. I think that their pitching's been great. And to me, this team has a lot of players who I think can be good, but they aren't consistently good. And all they have to do is get into the playoffs, in my opinion. I think that they can do that in this division. Hopefully, they have the Astros really coming up on them as of recently, but it's hard to give them higher than that, and that's really all I've got for them.
I'm gonna give them a C. They got too much talent to be 6 games over 500, and that's just that pitching is good, and they got some young talent, and they just it's not what I thought it was going to be. I had them 3rd in division though, but I thought they'd be. I figured they might be a wild card team. They're winning division because the rest of the teams aren't doing anything either. So I'm gonna give them a C.
Astros are in second, and I'm gonna give them a B. I know that sounds weird, but at the end of the day, if you had told me before the season the Astros would be 50 and 46, I'd say that's a disappointment because they're better than 50 and 46. Now they're playing like a better team than that, and you take out that first month, and they're probably top 5 best records in baseball, but it's still that losing streak did happen. I'm not worried about them. They're not going to sell, obviously, but I also don't know how much they're going to add. They have aging players, so I don't know how sustainable. Bregman, free agent. Verlander, barely playing at this point. Those guys aren't getting any younger, but they're going to win the division, I have a feeling, so I'll give them a B.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a B+. I'd like to give them an A because they've been playing unbelievable baseball the past month or two, but you have to count in that first month that they played. They basically didn't play baseball. They were one of the worst teams I've ever seen, and they've really turned it around. I mean, we talked about when it was happening that this team will turn it around because they just have so many vets that have won so much. I think that they just got so used to winning that they had to learn how to do it again, and it didn't come as easy. And now they're playing baseball like the Astros know how to play baseball. So you knew Altuve would turn this team around.
I'm going to give them a B-. This team should be better than what they are. They got the talent, but that first month they were terrible. But they are a scary team. They are starting to finally score some runs. Their pitching staff is okay, but I think they'll add a piece here and there, mostly bullpen, maybe a starter, because I think they know they got this window with Altuve, with Tucker, and all these guys, and they're going to try to at least do one more shot with it. So, there's probably going to be guys that are on 1-year contracts and stuff to try to do something big splash for the end of the year.
And then that would take us to the Texas Rangers, World Series champs last year. I'm gonna give them a D-. I'm not gonna give them an F because they've been banged up. I will say that DeGrom hasn't pitched. Scherzer's barely pitched. Who on offense? Josh Jung has played like 5 games, then he got hurt. But Simeon, Seager, and the rest of them are all there, and they're under 500. This was their division to win, and they added to the bullpen, and they've been good in the bullpen. But disappointing. I know they're only 4 games under, but they have not played very good. So I'm gonna give them a D-.
I do really want to give this team an F as well, just because coming off a World Series win, they were terrible for a while, swept by the White Sox at one point. But I am going to give them a D because, as Josh said, they had a lot of injury issues, and they haven't played well in a division that everybody kind of thought they would win or at least get second to the Astros. I think that they were at the very bottom there for a while. Even the Angels and the A's were over them. So this team hasn't. It's hard to come back after you won a World Series and do it again. So
I'm going to give them an F. This is a team that won the World Series, had a chance to bring some, and they made some signings and had players. Yes, they've been banged up, but this team had plenty of players and young players to make up for it, and they haven't done anything. They've been absolutely not very good, and 4 games under 500, you can say, oh, that's not too bad. This team has got too much talent, too much and too much money spending a team to be this bad, and so I'm going to give them an F for the year.
Angels up next. I'm gonna give them a D. I didn't expect the Angels to be very good anyway. They're 14 under 500. They've had a few players actually play pretty well that they could flip at this deadline, which I'm sure they'll keep them because they probably think they're going to be superstars. But it's just a piss poor ran organization from top to bottom. So I'm gonna give them a D. But I expect them to be bad, so I'm not going to give them an F because they're not in last place in the division. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to give them a D-. This team, they do the same thing every year. They have these just stars like Mike Trout on the team, and then they're just terrible. And I know Mike Trout's out for the year. It kind of sucks for them because this probably would have been the year to trade him. I think we were literally talking about it the day that he got hurt. So it sucks for the Angels. They can't trade their star, but they should have done it a long time ago, in my opinion. Same with Shohei. They let him walk for free. It's just a terrible organization. Almost as bad as the White Sox, but not quite.
Yeah, I'm just going to give him a D. I'm not even going to – this team's not very good. I was just there last week in Angel Stadium. I'd say maybe 8,000 fans, 7,000 fans maybe.
Oh,
there was
like
nobody there. The whole stadium. There's like nobody there.
Stadium. Yes, no,
Huh?
Cool.
Not top. Not my top 5. It's an older stadium. Food was good. Local beer was good, but it's just not not a. I mean,
Not on
and
the level.
parking. It's not. I mean, it's not something I fell in love with. Like when you
Gotcha.
walk in some stadiums, you can just walk around and you can just fall in love with something. That wasn't one of them.
I think the rock in left field looks cool. That's why I was wondering.
The rock's pretty cool. I mean, the big A with the halo on outside the stand is pretty cool. It's just not.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere was just. I mean, like I said, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
I mean, and the team actually against the Rangers, the team showed up and played well. Hit a couple home runs. It was actually interesting, a good game for the Angels. It was just, I mean, just nothing. I mean, just a blah. And and Mike Trout. But I mean, great player, but when you don't have him in the lineup, it's too bad. You're wasting his career right now.
And they botched the Shohei Ohtani life, so yeah.
Well, when you can't win a playoff.
Oakland, Roy, I'll let you go first. How about Oakland?
I'm just going to give them an F just because of shitty organization. I mean, for what they're doing to the team, what they're doing to the organization, the town, everybody. This is a shitty organization that deserves to be. I mean, yeah, they got 37 wins. Just because they got some young players that can play, and they're going to trade a bunch of them just because that's just what they'll do. They don't care. This owner is a joke, and this team deserves to. I love that the fans say sell the team, because they do. You don't need an owner like that that's just doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree with Roy. This owner is just a piece of shit, really. They're across the water from like one of the best ballparks in the entire MLB, and then you go across the water, and it's like you're living in the you have a stadium in the slums where there's just homeless running it. Like everything about Oakland kind of sucks. The whole town, not even just the A's organization, the Raiders, I mean, the Warriors, everything about it, just it's all gone now. So that city's going to be disappeared here in a few years, probably.
Yeah. I'm going to give them a D-. I agree with everything that Roy said and you guys said. I won't give them an F because they've actually been better than I thought they would be.
For like 2 weeks.
What's that?
For like 2 weeks, they were like better.
But I mean, I thought this team would have a very close record with the White Sox, and they got 10 more wins than them. They also have some electric players like Miller. Shea Langeliers, their catcher, hits a lot of home runs. Yeah. They have pieces to build. Like last year, they didn't have any pieces to build. It was blank, and that's why they lost so much. They just didn't get the number one pick. But they've been a little bit better than I thought they would. So I'll give them a D-. The other thing is the NL. Philadelphia Phillies. Ooh, A+. They're the first one. I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series because I know that's not how baseball works. But for a standpoint of health, how the players have played, I mean, you can't ask for a better start. So I'm going to give the Phillies an A+, the perfect first half, and they've set themselves up well.
Yeah, I agree with Josh. This is the first A+. They've made these runs in the playoffs the past few years, and then they didn't have great teams then. They have a great team now all around, and that is a good baseball program. I mean, everybody there plays hard. They all seem like they love playing baseball. The fans love having them there. You get that from Philadelphia a lot with their sports. Their fans are pretty fucking crazy, but this is one of my favorite teams in the MLB besides the Cubs. And so I like watching them do good. I mean, they have a bunch of ex-Cubs on their team as well, and Bryce Harper should have been a Cub, so it's fun to watch them for me.
I'm not gonna give them an A+. I'll give them an A, just because A+. I mean, they're close. I mean, they're that good of a team, and they look like they're. I mean, it's a good core that is like loves playing baseball, and they look like they're having fun. And you saw at the All-Star game, 3 of them were talking on the thing. It's just they look like they want to win and play, and they're just. I mean, they're just cruising. It seems like, and winning. They got everything. They could add a piece here and two just to help them out. But that's what's scary. I mean, they're the best record in baseball. That looks like the most comfortable team out there, and they can add a piece and be even better. So, this is an A team right there.
Yeah, and you better hope there's no tragedy when you see them in the playoffs because Nick Castellanos is going to just wreck you. I mean,
crazy.
Trump got shot the other day and he hit another home
run. Second place team in the NL East, the Atlanta Braves. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to give them a B. If you would have, without the injuries, if you told me just look at the record, I'd have given them in the C's because I think they're way better than this. Their hitters have definitely taken a step back from last year, but you almost felt like it was bound to happen. I mean, they all had like career years last year. That's why they were so good. But I mean, you lose Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider, and you're still over 10 games above 500. That's pretty impressive to me, especially in my opinion, a pretty decent division. Like I wouldn't say it's a bad division at all.
No.
So I'm gonna give them a B. I think they've weathered the storm, and the last time they lost Ronald, they added it to the deadline with old guys, and they won a World Series. So if I'm Philly, I'm not taking a foot off the gas with Atlanta behind me. So
I'm gonna have to give them a C+. I think that this team is really taking a huge step back, even though they're still second in the division. I think that Josh said this division is not that bad. I think there's only 2 good teams in this division. I don't think the Mets, Nationals, or Marlins are anything to really talk about in the division. They were a 100-win team last year, had the best record in baseball, and they don't look good while you're watching them play. All of their hitters have taken steps back. I know Strider hasn't been there, but even when Ronald was there, he didn't look as good as he was to me, hitting-wise, in previous years. And every one of their big hitters, like Matt Olson and Austin Riley, like all of them have taken steps back. So
I'm going to give them a B. I think they've actually performed away with Strider getting hurt early and Acuna being gone. This team, I mean, Chris Sale's made an amazing comeback, and that's scary when he can throw. I mean, he was a good pitcher to White Sox and the Red Sox for a while. I mean, that's a scary guy that could be your number 2. And Max Fried, I think he was one of the better pitchers in the first half of in the NL. This team, with losing 2 stars like that, to be 11 games over 500, to only be 8.5 back from Philly, they will add some pieces, and they're going to be scary. So Ozuna has been, he's been hitting the hell out of the ball, home run wise.
He also hits the hell of a lot of women too.
True. So this team, I think this team is in position to do well, even without with 2 stars gone. And I'm going to give them a B.
That takes us to the Mets. Roy, I'll let you go with the Mets.
See, I'll disagree with Bryce. I actually think the Mets are a decent team now. They started out really bad. I'm going to give them a C. I really didn't think they were going to be much. I think they're one of them that just spent a lot of money and just didn't get any quality players. They've got some quality players over there now that have actually performed. They look like they're kind of getting their chemistry together and they're playing better. I mean, they were 7-3 in their last 10 games before the All-Star break. This team is making a little bit of a run. They start off slow, and I think they're coming together. And then they will add some pieces now. I thought they might sell, but they will add some pieces to make them a better ball club.
Yeah, I agree with you, Roy. I mean, this team, at the end of the day, last year, this team was the World Series favorite going in. The World Series favorite. The only 2 pieces they've gotten rid of is Scherzer and Verlander. I mean, other than that, it's the same team. And they've added, some quieter names like Bader, Sevy. Just half the other Yankees. But you're right. I mean, they're on a good run. At the end of the day, season in day, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're a wild card team right now. So I agree with you, Roy. I'll give them a B because I didn't think this team would be very good at all. I thought they would almost take this as a year off, not as bad as the White Sox, but like the same mentality. Like, this is just a gap year. Let's just go out, play, maybe trade some pieces. They ain't trading probably anything now, not unless they go out and lose, 10 straight. Then they might. But this team, I don't really think they should add personally. I think they should just ride what they have. And if they get lucky, they get lucky. But for me, I think I had them I might have had them in 3rd, but maybe 4th. But they've been a little bit better than I thought. Yeah. Then the Washington Nationals.
I didn't even get to grade them.
Oh, my bad.
I'm going to give this team a B as well because I do think that they played better as of recently than what I thought that they were going to be. I didn't expect them to be over 500, and to me, they're over 500. I still see them as a seller. It's hard for me to think that this team, they might make the playoffs, but to me, you got to look at the future some because they have no farm system. I think they might have the worst farm system in baseball, and a lot of their players are getting old. They don't have anybody to go to, and they're going to end up being the worst team in the league for the next coming years if this team doesn't work out. If I was them, I would sell some of my pieces, get some pieces, and build for the future because I don't think this team's good enough to win a World Series.
That takes us to the Nationals. Roy, I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna give them a C. They've actually been better than I thought they would be. They are set not or 9 games below 500. I really thought they would. I had them. I think I had them last in the
You
division,
did.
and I thought they would be. They've just kind of hung in there at the wild card, but I don't think they'll make the playoffs. They just outperformed what I thought they'd be.
Bryce?
I'm going to give them a C as well. I actually kind of thought this team would be a little bit better because they do have some young players who I thought were pretty solid, but some of them haven't quite taken the full next step that I thought they would have. Like CJ Abrams is a great player, and like James Woods coming up. So I think they could be decent in the future. They're kind of young right now, and some of their better players. So I'm going to give them a C for now.
Yeah, I kind of thought this team could be the team that the Mets are, that team that could just surprise people the entire year and maybe squeak in. They're definitely selling. They've gone on a losing streak because they had a wild card spot for a while. They've already made one move, sending someone to the Royals. So they're going to sell. But I'm giving them a B minus. The players they needed to step up have. Abrams has become an everyday shortstop. Gore has become a good starter, and Wood just called up. Those are 3 players from the Soto trade that they made. So they're all working out. They have other young players who aren't playing as great, but they can just sell. Those players take the next step, and then they keep adding young players. I mean, they're doing it the right way. It's taken longer because they sold everybody when they did, but I think they're not even 10 games back, and they're sellers. So I think they're in a good spot, but I'll give them a B minus because I think as an organization, they're going the right way. And then the Marlins, I am going to give the Marlins an F. I didn't think they'd be this bad. I thought they'd be pretty bad, though. And last year, I was high on Miami. But this year, they didn't make any moves, and they sold players. They sold Luis Ariz a month into the season.
Immediately, yeah.
That tells me they're tanking. They aren't trying to win anyway. Their whole rotation's out, so I will give them that. I'll give them a little bit of a pass. They literally had all 5 projected starters all not pitch.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible. Their young pitchers are going to be really good if they can pitch and stay healthy, but I'm going to give them an F for this year because they are just awful.
I'm going to give them a D minus because, like Josh said, they literally lost all of their pitchers. But, as an organization to sell like a month into the season, that just kind of blows my mind. They're looking to sell Jazz Chisholm now. It's got to suck to be a fan and see all of your favorite players getting traded a month into the season. That's just terrible to me. But a D minus from me.
I'm gonna give them an F. They've been worse. I had them pick 3rd, and I think they've been worse than what I thought they were going to be. And even though they're starting 5 been out, it doesn't matter. They're young. They've got young people and that could step up, and they just, other than a couple bullpen guys, they've not been really that good.
Yeah. Take us to the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers. I'll go first on this one. This is one of the bigger surprises to me. I really did not think this team would be very good. They lost Craig Counsell. I thought would really hurt them as well. I'm not saying this team is great by any means. They do win games, but they've also not been very good as of late. They got off to a really good start. I think they've gone back down to earth. They're still good. I'm going to give them a B minus. I'm going to give them a B. I lied. They've had a couple young players really take good steps. William Contreras looks like a superstar behind the plate. Yelich is back to being a all-star caliber player. Not saying he's an MVP anymore, but and I don't know who their coach is really, but they've gone. It's gone well, and that's without their closer Devin Williams for almost the entire year. So I give them a B.
I'm going to give them a B plus. I think that this team lost a lot of stuff last year, including Craig Counsell and some great pitching that they had, and they've stuck it out. They're still winning a ton of games. They're 55-42 and leading the division pretty easily right now, 5 games up on second. So I don't think any of us had them winning the division, and they've been winning the division almost all year and pretty single-handedly for the past 2 months.
I'm going to give them a B minus. They have been better than I think I had them last. I think they have been way better than I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
But they are starting to come back down. They've never really – they had chances. This division was bad. So they had chances to run away with it, and they never did. So I think they're B minus. They're an average team, and so that's what I'll give them.
Cardinals, Roy.
I'm going to give them a B minus. I thought this team would be better, but they are playing better late, and they are a lot like Milwaukee. They started off bad and they're starting to play better. Milwaukee started hot and then didn't play well. This team is starting to play better, and I'm going to give them a B just because I think they're going to be better. You're going to see a continuous of what they've done, and they're going to add a piece or two to be better.
Bryce.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a B. I think that they're a little bit better than I thought they were going to be. Some of their young players like Wynn and Burleson have been a lot better than I thought they would be as well. So I think those two are a big part of how they've kind of gotten the success as of recently and kind of built it back up. And I hate to say it, but I mean, the Cardinals play good baseball, like no matter who's on their roster. That's just kind of the culture in St. Louis for baseball. So I'm going to give them a B because they are better than what I thought they would be.
I'm actually going to be a little bit more mean than you guys. I'm going to give them a C+. I actually thought this team was going to be a lot better than they are. Yes, they played so much better as of late, but their key pieces are still not there yet. Goldschmidt he's been okay, but he hasn't been very good or bad. Arenado has really struggled, which is concerning because he did last year as well. For the first time, it does look like his age is starting to catch up to him. Not on the defensive side, still a wizard out there, but at the plate, man, he's just not hitting the ball like he used to. But I will agree with Bryce. Burleson's been outstanding.
Yeah.
And Wynn looks like he is a big piece of the future. I think this team's got lucky with Helsley being so good on that back end. I mean, they have a negative 38 run differential, and they're 4 games above 500.
Yeah.
The Reds have a plus 38, and they're 3 games under. So this team's gotten lucky with good pitching late, but I'll give them a C+ because they're still at the end of the day 4 games above 500.
Yeah, you had thought that those key players were going to have a bounce back year after having a down year this year. I think me and Roy kind of thought they would have a continuously down year from last year.
Yeah. Pittsburgh at 48-48. I had this team in last. I'm going to give them a B. You know why I'm going to give them a B? Because at the end of the day, Paul Skeens was ready and they called him up. They didn't tank. That's what Pittsburgh would do usually. They'd keep Paul Skeens and Myers the entire year and just tank and just try to get players. They've called him up. He's the best pitcher in baseball. It's not even close. It's not even close. They've won 4 straight, 7-3. I think this team could find a way in if they add a little bit. I don't think they're going to add, though. I think they'll just miss it, but I'm going to give them a B.
I'm also going to give them a B. I thought that they would be the worst team in the division, and they're really not. I mean, Paul Skeens has been unbelievable, but O'Neal Cruz was the best player in baseball for the first month, which really kind of pushed them out at the beginning, and they've kind of just fizzled out since then, and they're sitting around 500. So I think they have a lot to look forward to the future, but not right now currently.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a B too. And they've been a lot better than I thought. I mean, I had them last too. So I think they were better than what I thought they were going to be. I agree. They brought up Paul. So that was surprising. I really thought they'd let him rot in the minors too. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, I still think they're going to finish last in division. I don't think they'll do anything at the deadline. They'll just ride this out the rest of the year, and that'll be what happens.
Yeah. Cincinnati Reds. I'm actually only going to give them a C-. I had this team finishing 4th, which you guys both thought was crazy, but the exact thing has happened that I thought. Their young players are just not all having good years. You know, they're young players. They're not all the way developed. Ellie De La Cruz is electric, but he strikes out every other at bat. Yeah. But he's electric. Outside of that, though, they haven't had a whole lot of great play from their young players. They have been hurt a little bit. Candelario looks great, the addition from the Cubs. He's been great at third base. But I just don't think their pitching is all the way there yet either. But I'm going to give them a C- because I kind of had them in this spot, about 500, bottom half of the division.
Yeah, I love Candelario for the 2 months he was on the Cubs. But I'm going to give this team a C. I think just a C because I really thought this team had the roster to be the team that they were last year, where they really pushed towards the end. They brought up Ellie, and then it seemed like everybody got hot all at once. I thought that they might carry some of that heat over into this year, and they really haven't. They've kind of been at the bottom almost all year long. their young players aren't playing as good, and they just don't look. I mean, they have a promising future because they're so young, but this year's got to be just a down year for them. I don't see them really selling off any of their pieces and just kind of building for next year.
I'm gonna give them a D plus. I've really been disappointed in how this team has performed. I had them win the division. I thought they'd be better. I still think they. I mean, they still have a plus 38 run differential. So I still think they have a chance to like really start making a run. But they're just been a disappointment on how they performed.
And that takes us to the Cubs. Royal, you go first on the Cubs.
You know what? Let's go Bryce. Let Bryce talk about his team first.
I'm going to give the Cubs an F. I think that the Cubs have the best roster in this entire division, and they're in last place still. The first month of baseball, they were a top 5 team in the league and had the worst bullpen in the league. The last month and a half, or a few weeks ago, they started getting hot. But for a month and a half, they were the worst team in baseball. And then they decided to get hot again like they do every year in June, and their bullpen is just blowing games again. So it doesn't matter if the bullpen's on or if the offense is on. They cannot do it at the same time, and they're terrible right now. I mean, it's terrible to watch.
I'm gonna give them a D. They've underperformed what I thought they'd be. Thought they'd take the next step. You know, they basically brought a lot of the same players back. You know, you're able to sign Bellinger. You got Shohei, a great pitcher. I thought this might be you might be making next step, and you haven't. I thought Craig Counsell would be big upgrade, and it's just not been. They've not performed anywhere near what I thought they'd be.
I'm only going to give them a C minus. They have had the injury bug. I will give them that. They've been rattled with injuries, especially on the pitching side more than the hitting side. But their hitters have not played well. They just have not been hitting very well outside that first month. But they keep losing games because of one reason. It's the back end bullpen.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's not like we're losing games because of the offense. The offense just hasn't been good at all, really. But they keep losing the games because of the bullpen. You can fix that. But and they haven't ran themselves out of a game, out of the division. They've blown 20 saves, I think, and they're 4 games back. So I think this team needs to add. I mean, everybody wants to add bullpen. I get it, but
I'm pretty sure if you look at every team's record up to the 7th inning, we have the best record in baseball. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so
up there, close to it at least.
But
it's pretty bad.
The offense to me is concerning. I mean, they have no power really outside of Bellinger, and Suzuki will run into a few, and Happ will run into a few. They don't have a power hitter.
Happ has been hitting pretty power lately, but Morel's kind of our power hitter at the moment. And
he's hitting what, 205?
Yeah, he had 2 the other day in the same game. But that's why they really got to push for Vladdy, if you ask me. But I just don't see them getting him at this point.
That's going to take us to the NL West last division. Dodgers up first. I'm going to give the Dodgers an A minus. I think I expected them to be about 15 games over 500. They're 3-7 in their last 7, but they did lose Mookie Betts about a month ago. Their entire pitching staff is decimated with injuries. They're slowly getting them back, but then another one goes on the IL. So, I mean, what do you take from that? This team gives me a Yankees vibe a few years ago. If they get healthy, when they get healthy. But at the end of the day, they're not going to get healthy. They're not. They're injury prone. That's what they are. I'm not saying Mookie. Mookie was a freak injury off the hand. I'm saying their pitching staff. They're 56-41. They're 15 over. They're a really good team. In my opinion, they're the second best team in the NL behind the Phillies. But they'd still have, when Mookie gets healthy, Mookie, Freddie, Shohei. And that's going to be hard to get out in October. I'll give them an A minus, but it could be better if their pitching was better.
I'm actually going to give this team a B just because of the fact that they literally spent $1 billion in the offseason, and they aren't the best team in baseball. I know that money obviously doesn't equate to winning games, but if you're the city of Los Angeles and you spend $1 billion on your team, you should be winning more games than any other team in the league. And that's just my opinion on it. Obviously, they've had the injuries that go against them, but it's $1 billion. Like, it's insane.
I'm gonna give them a C. They've underperformed, even though they've been injured and stuff. I just still think they've underperformed hitting and pitching. It's just been a disappointment. I mean, it's still a good team. They just They should have the best record in baseball, but I'm gonna give them. I'll give them a C plus.
Arizona 49-48. I'll give these guys. I'm gonna give them a C. I'm gonna give them a flat C. They've been better of late. They started off really bad, but this team, I know they made the World Series last year. That was not a World Series team last year. They got hot and made it. So they're 500. I thought they'd be better than that, but they're 500 with Corbin Carroll basically being a Double-A baseball player. I mean, he's hitting like 200 with a home run. He was the NL Rookie of the Year last year, but they've been better of late. And they're one game back of the wild card, and I still think they're going to get in. I had them getting in like a month ago, but it's all tight right around that NL wild card. But I'll give them a C.
I agree with Josh. They were one of the worst teams in baseball at the beginning of the season. Them and the Rangers both coming off the World Series and being two terrible teams. But they have been playing better as of recently. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They made it back up to 500. Second in the division. If you would ask me a few weeks ago, I did not think that they were going to get back up to second in the division. But like Josh said, Corbin Carroll has been non-existent. Like he forgot how to play baseball. It's like watching Javi Baez almost, but not quite as bad as that, but pretty close. And so I'm going to give them, I think I said a C, but yeah.
I'm going to give them a C. They're just an average baseball team. I think I had them as an average baseball team. And they got lucky last year being on a hot streak to get in the World Series. This team is not that team. And but you never know. I mean, they could have the same way. They get in. They're just, I'll give them a C. They're just average.
Padres, Roy, I'll start with you.
I'm going to give them a D. I mean, they got too much talent on that team. They got too much firepower. They got some pitching, and they're not doing jack. I mean, one game above 500. They just cannot put it together. Seems like, and this is just a disappointing team. So I'm gonna give them a D.
I completely agree with Roy. This has been like one of the better roster teams I've seen for 3 years in a row, and they just cannot produce. I mean, they play in California. It's sunny every day. They have great fans who show up, and they just don't produce. They don't win very many games. They sit at 500 with a star-studded roster, and it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a C minus. They're only one game out of the wild card, so all you have to do is give yourself a chance, and they've done that. They're so top heavy. I mean, they have superstar, bench player. There's no medium. They moved Juan Soto because they had no pitching. They still have no pitching. What's his face? Musgrove's been hurt for a lot of the year, and he's been terrible when he was there. So their pitching has been non-existent. They've actually hit better than they have in the past few years, and they got rid of Juan Soto. But their owner or their GM is like a guy playing MLB The Show, making trades left and right for superstars. It just has not clicked. But at the end of the day, all you have to do is get in, give yourself a chance. At the end of the day, that lineup is good as any of them in baseball, probably. So
yeah,
I'll give them a C minus. I won't go all the way to a D. San Fran. I'll give San Fran a C. I don't think they're very good, but I didn't think they were going to be very good coming into the year. They lost Jung Ho Lee, their big addition. I mean, right when the season started. They added what's his face, Snell and Chapman, but they didn't get spring trainings, and they started out like shit, both of them.
Yeah.
It pretty much tells you need a spring train to get going. I think, I don't know, weird team, weird offseason for them. Didn't get anything, and then got two of the bigger free agents the last day. I'll give them a C because I didn't expect them to be very good. Actually, I'll go C minus. C minus after the additions.
I'm going to go with a C. I didn't think this team would be quite as bad as they are, but they weren't. I thought that they've had some stretches where they showed that they're a decent team, and then they go back on their cold streaks and they sit right below 500. They're kind of a middle of the pack team. So kind of similar to the rest of the division, really. A lot of them middle of the pack teams all throughout it, besides top and bottom.
I'm going to go a D plus. I thought this team would be better. They've not been very good. They do have a local boy pitching, Mason Birdsong, who's from Mattoon here. So, and he's got his first one there tonight. So they are trying to bring up some young guys to try to see what they can do. So but this team has not performed the way I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be better.
Made his
And
debut.
then
versus
Colorado,
Cubs.
last team, I'm gonna give an F. I mean, they have one good player in Ryan McMahon, and actually, I'll give Tovar, the shortstop, a little bit of credit. But I mean, they did it themselves. They paid Nolan Arenado to go be a superstar on another team. I mean, yeah, just not a good team. Never have been.
Yeah,
I agree. They're probably the second worst team in baseball, if not third. It's a bad team all around. Sucks to see Chris Bryant just rotting there. I mean, it's terrible now, and just it's sad.
Yeah, I'm giving them F. They're just not very good, and they don't even look like they could get better. So that's just not a very good team.
All right, that's our grades. I think they're just going to roll us into lock of the week game and advice. There's no baseball. There's no hockey. There's no basketball. There's no golf right now. I'm not going to have anything for you guys this week. Take a week, build up some money.
All right, I do have a game.
Okay.
There's a ton of different answers you can get, so I'm only going to ask for 10 out of the both of you. I'll give you both 3 strikes. The game this week is, can you name me players who have 100 home runs on more than one team? So at least 2 teams.
Okay.
So they've hit 100 for both the teams. If
So
not
we
more.
have to get 10.
Yeah, there's like 50 answers.
All right. I can rip one, Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds is one.
Mark McGuire.
Yep.
I believe that is one as well. There's
Albert Pujols.
Yeah. Albert Pujols is a good answer.
How about Jim Thome?
Yep.
That is correct.
We have 4.
Yep.
Alex Rodriguez.
Yep.
That is correct.
Is
Mark
Mark
Brett?
Teixeira one?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is correct.
How about Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yep.
That is correct.
Albert Bell. Would that be one? I mean,
Albert Bell.
Wait, hold on. Has he hit a bunch on Cleveland?
For my time.
No, I don't want to say him.
Mike Piazza.
There you go.
That is correct.
I'm gonna go an old one, just because I want to try one. We got 2 more, right? We haven't got any
You don't
strikes.
even have a strike yet.
How about Roger Maris?
Did he play for another team?
Oh, he played for the Cardinals.
I'm not seeing him.
Okay.
I just want to try.
Prince Fielder.
Prince Fielder.
Prince Fielder. I don't see him popping up.
What?
How about Gary Sheffield? I mean,
Gary Sheffield is on there.
number
Okay,
9.
we got 1 strike left and 1 guess left.
Yep. There's a few on here you definitely know.
Gosh.
Ooh, I didn't know he had that.
I'm trying to think of one that I know for sure instead of just throwing out names.
I think I have a
ton that you know for sure on here.
I'm sure.
I think I know one. When you say other teams, is it like he had 1 home or 100 home runs for 2 different teams, or like?
Yes.
Oh, then maybe not. Then I'm more nervous.
I actually have the numbers if you want the numbers.
Let me ask Josh. Matt Holliday. How about Matt Holliday?
Yeah, 100%.
Matt Holliday is not popping up.
I know he's on there. No way.
I don't see him on here. I think you're wrong, actually.
I'm looking it up right now. I know he had 100 in both St. Louis and Colorado. Yep. Matt Holliday hit 156 home runs in St. Louis over 8 years and 130 in Colorado over 6 years.
Not on the list I have.
Well, he's correct. I knew that was a good one. One that I didn't say, because I don't think he played on a second team long enough, but he might have. Nelson Cruz.
He did. He had 157.
He had played for
Rangers,
so many different teams. I didn't know if he ever got to 100
Mariners.
on 2 of them.
Rangers and Mariners.
I knew
the other
Rangers.
one that I thought you guys would say was Curtis Granderson.
Wow.
He had 102 on the Tigers.
I almost said Big Poppy.
But he only hit a bunch of home runs for Boston.
Yeah, but
Minnesota.
he played for the
Most-
Twins for like 2 years.
Yeah,
2 or
but
3
he hit
years.
100 home runs, though?
No, he didn't have 100.
I'm curious on how many he had. That's why I didn't say it because I didn't know, but
Miguel Cabrera,
I thought about him as well, but I
Crap, I
didn't know
never-
how many years in Miami he played.
big Cub name, Andre Dawson.
See, I thought of him, but I was like, I could not think if he hit that. I mean, he played for the Expos. I couldn't remember how long he played for.
Big
He
Poppy
actually had
played
more on the
6 years
Expos.
in Minnesota and had 58.
Andre Dawson actually had more on the Expos than the Cubs.
Okay, so he came across my mind, but I was like, man, I don't know how many home
Well,
runs
you
he had.
got it. Because
There's
Holiday
a-
was right.
A Yankee
All right.
and an A that I thought you would get.
Who?
A Yankee and an A.
Canseco?
That's the last
Yeah.
one we'll go with. A Yankee and an A's.
Right, Reggie Jackson.
Oh, that's a good answer. Oh,
Jason.
Giambi.
Yeah, John B.
I forget he's a Yankee because I didn't really like him.
All right, Roy.
No, I don't have anything. All I want to say tonight is I want to say congrats to Ben Hess, the first round draft pick by the New York Yankees. He's a local boy from Charleston, Illinois. Here, went to University of Alabama. He's a heck of a good family, heck of a good kid. I want to say congratulations. It's nice to see a kid, for a local boy here who played hard, who did things right, and to be drafted by my favorite team. I'm happy. I was actually I was at a place where I know the family, so not very, close, but I like their family. It's a good guy. So it's nice to see somebody that's a lot of work, done really well to be drafted. First pick, 2.75 million sign-on bonus. Pretty nice chunk of change. So good job. Congrats to Ben Hess, and I'm happy for him.
I wouldn't even play baseball after that. I'd just retire after getting drafted.
Yeah. Hey, he's being sent to Tampa, and we're talking about flying down there to see him. So.
Yeah, Tampa, that's where rookie ball is. So
Yep. So I think that's where we're going to head. So hopefully in August or something. See him pitch.
I will be gone. I'm actually deploying as of next week, so I will
you
not
won't
be
be
on
here
next
next
week's
Tuesday.
episode, and I will try to be on the week after that. But I will be overseas, so
Safe
All right.
travels.
Miss out on
and
a
Guam.
hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Peace out.
Peace.
Gotta find my way to